Boots, 1962. Alone on my own in my tall boots I walked, coming home from school that day. I remembered the note from our teacher. It was yellow, and I threw it away. The older ones had showed me their scars, a disfiguring scar branded on their shoulders. They told of the blood that oozed from their wounds, the sword that was used to pierce through the flesh. It was yellow. It was stamped important. I threw it away. Alone, on my own, in my tall boots I walked, coming home from school that day. Having waited patiently, sitting all morning at my school desk, staring at my wonderful rain boots placed underneath a row of coats. It really does feel good to be on my own again. It had rained all day. Rain on the ground, and small lakes abound. I mused at the sight. Fresh rivers to be carved now. I'll bulldoze that levee. Let's put a swamp here and an ocean there, I thought to myself with my biggest smile. I'd better be careful. That bridge is not steady, as I fantasized my world mixed with the cool fall air. 2 other boys came over to play with me for a while. We laughed and shared in our silly commotion. They stopped suddenly and looked around as if called by their mothers, then left. Alone on my own in my tall boots I walked, coming home from school that day. I felt something different in the cool fall air. There was new construction everywhere. I climbed over rocks and dirt valleys and kicked large boulders aside. Alone on my own in my tall boots I walked on top of the world. Now I heard something different in the cool fall air. A strange wailing sound grew louder as I hopped over mud and gravel hills. I looked around, confused by the sound and the difference in the cool fall air. To my surprise, there stood a lady on the other side of the mud and gravel hills. She waved to me with a concerning look on her face. Then she pointed at her little boy who stood there, right in the middle of the muddy swamp place. He stood there, knee-high mud, unable to move his feet. "Oh, be a hero," she begged. "Save my little boy." Alone, on my own, in my tall boots, I walked towards the boy. The wailing sound was louder now, and filled the air with fear. With each step I took, my boots sank deeper into the swamp of mud. The boy cried, the mother pleaded, the air filled with the sound of fear. Alone on my own in my tall boots I walked towards this little boy, whose face was beet red now and full of tears. How brave I felt with each step I took. How wide the boy's mouth was. How loud his screaming sounds filled the air. I ventured on bravely. One tall boot, then the next. The screaming sounds were now silent, with only my heart pounding loudly. One of my boots was stuck, and I could not move. As I tried to move in vain, my right foot sank deeper into the mud. I looked up at the boy's mother. Tears of fear now filled my eyes. I pulled my foot out from my boot and cried. This mother then pulled off her shoes, rolled up her skirt, then rescued her little boy, looking at me while shaking her head. Her boy now snugly safely in her arms, off home they fled. I felt the cold wetness of mud on my foot as I pulled myself out. Alone, on my own, with only one tall boot, I walked, coming home from school that day. I felt cold, with the loud wailing noise still filling the air. Afraid and in tears, I made it home. My mother was worried that day. After being alone on my own in my tall boots that I walked, coming home from school that day, she smiled, hugging me, then asked where I was. Mother and I sat down that day to talk about heroes and my lost boot, about cold wars and loud wailing sirens that filled the cool fall air on that day. We never did talk about the important note from my teacher, maybe because it was yellow and I threw it away.